There's some breaking news. AOC will not stop gaslighting about the force to vote, Medicare for all vote we're pushing on the floor. She will not stop gaslighting. She just did another Twitter thread, and Twitter is a storm. I'm going to show you it. Here's the garbage coming from her now. Some people say a co-sponsor list isn't genuine, and forcing a vote, even if it fails, will add clarity by putting people on the record, even though co-sponsor list is on the record. We already explained to you a million times why that's bullshit. Because anybody can co-sponsor a bill, but you don't know how they really stand until you vote on it. Everybody running for president co-sponsored Bernie Sanders Medicare for all until they actually start. So that's the whole point. And so she's just 100% wrong, and everybody knows she's wrong about that. She's just making shit up. She's hoping that the corporate press doesn't push her on it, which they won't. And because they push her on stupid shit, but they'll never push her on this. And she says the problem with a GOP Senate, people can still disingenuously vote because they know it's going to die in a graveyard. That they know it's going to a graveyard. So she's saying, even if we have a vote, the people are going to vote for it, but they maybe aren't really for it because they know it's going to the Senate. Well, it will die. Well, maybe it won't die in the Senate. We're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. You liar. I know people should. I'm attacking. I know some people say I'm attacking.
Be nicer.
Tone police me talking to a fucking politician? What is wrong with you? I know what's wrong with you. You get paid by NATO to go give tongue baths to war criminals. That's what's wrong with you. That's what's wrong with you. You get paid by NATO. They tried to pay me too. I went and blew up their fucking conference. TYT didn't want to put the fucking video up. So now you're actually made life harder for organizers. She's now saying that if we fight for Medicare for all, it makes it harder for Medicare for all. This is pathetic. This is pathetic. So now you've actually made life harder for organizers because if you suspect a co-sponsor isn't a genuine supporter, you now just gave them a chance to cover when stakes are low, so now they can ward off pressure. Pay attention. Actual Medicare for all grassroots organizers haven't pushed for this, and that is bullshit.
They didn't come up with the idea.
It's right. They didn't come up with the idea. That's not that they're not pushing for this. I just got off a phone call with Medea Benjamin, and she's got lots of people who are pushing for this. Give me this shit. Real Medicare for all. What the fuck? An American citizen is advocating for Medicare for all. That's all you need to know. Oh, but you're not real. I don't have the credentials. Yeah, Justin Jackson doesn't have the credentials. I don't have the credentials. Marianne Williamson doesn't have the. Medea Benjamin does. We don't have the credentials. Really? AOC? We had Brianna Joy Gray on here, and she is way nicer to these people than she should be. Because what AOC is doing right now is evil. This is evil. She's trying to keep you from Medicare for all because she's too cowardly to cross Nancy Pelosi and the party. That's all this is. That's all this is. That's all this is. Why else wouldn't she push for a Medicare for all vote? Everything she comes up with is stupid and on its face. It's ridiculous. She doesn't push the $15 minimum wage anymore. Do you notice that? You remember the first thing she said to Justin Jackson is the reason why we can't do this is because there's a $15 minimum wage. We showed why that was bullshit because Nancy Pelosi's for the $15 minimum wage, and so you're not getting anything out of her for your vote. And so is Joe Biden for it. So you could take that right off the table. And guess what she did? Mm-hmm. So she doesn't bring that up anymore, does she? Aaron Matei pointed that out to me. Here's another stupid tweet of hers. And this is to keep you from health care. That's what this is. This is to keep you from health care because she's a gutless wonder who will not do what she promised. And you don't get her to do what you want her to do by being fucking nice to her. You get her to do what she's supposed to do by ripping her to shreds, which is what I'm doing right fucking now because she has it coming. And it's not just her. They all do. She's the only one engaging on Twitter, which is why she's getting it. I originally went after Mark Pocan. Mark Pocan's too big of a coward to engage. She's dumb enough to engage when she doesn't have a good reason. But I bet the squad decided that she would go out there because she's the most popular, and then people could say, you're attacking her. People who work for NATO can say I'm attacking her. Instead of what we're supposed to do, hold one of the most powerful people in the world to account. AOC is one of the most powerful people in the fucking world. Attacking her. Such schoolgirl shit. Grassroots organizing and pressure campaigns take an insane amount of work and preparation. Guess who knows more about that than fucking you? You've been in Congress 2 years, and you're going to preach about what you can't do and how hard it is to do other things? This is insane. What it takes is courage from gutless wonders like you, AOC, you fucking phony, and you're revealing yourself, and I am just writing it down. We are you're doing it, and we're marking it. This is her outing herself as a gaslighting motherfucker. She might as well be she might as well be Newt Gingrich, because that's what this is. She might as well be Joe Crowley, because this is the kind of shit Joe Crowley would say, and now she's saying it. She's finding every reason in the world not to do what she said she was going to do. Key organizing moments may look like random uprisings. Oh, you mean like the one we're in right now? You mean like the one we're in right now? Because you didn't do it. And it wouldn't have happened because you weren't doing fucking anything. It took a pothead comedian to do it and a football player. Because you're broken. Because you're corrupted and co-opted. And now we got to lay on you as hard as we can. And you're going to get a bunch of sycophants on YouTube who protect you, who take money from NATO. But you're not going to... Hey, the Humanist Report came out against you. Kyle Kalinske just turned on you. AOC. Did you see that video? Guess who else? Crystal Ball. Guess who else? Jimmy Dore. Guess who else? Medea Benjamin. Cornell. Everybody sees through you. Everybody sees through you. Except your fucking sycophant DSA dickheads in fucking Brooklyn. We see through you. Even my detractors see through you. That's right. Everybody sees through the squad now. And why, AOC? I'm telling they're pushing her out there because she's the most sympathetic. And so idiots can say, stop attacking her when she is standing between you and healthcare and protecting Nancy Pelosi and her career. Key organizing moments may look like random uprisings and viral internet moments to some, but they aren't. They are the results of years of targeting, organizing, and people's movements. This took 2 weeks. This took 2 weeks. This took 2 weeks. From someone who already went bankrupt from medical bills. It took 2 weeks. How long you been fucking working on this? I figured this out in 2 weeks, AOC. You liar, you coward, you gaslighter, you standing in the way of people in healthcare. You run on healthcare and then you deny it to us. You dangle it in front of your fucking constituents. And then when you get there, you don't lift a fucking finger. And I'm the problem? Fuck you. You already voted for the CARES Act. Fuck you. And fuck anybody who is protecting her. Fuck you. You just keep digging in deeper, AOC. You don't think people see you? You don't think people see what you're doing? You don't think everyone knows that you got your start on my show? You don't think everyone knows what you are now? Some people are having a hard time actually admitting it to themselves, but they know. They know. And we ain't getting shit out of anybody by being nice. Look how fast Bernie Sanders sells you out. Be fucking nicer to him next time. Go ahead. Be nicer to fucking Bernie Sanders. Be nicer to a guy who sold you out. Can't wait to sell you out. He won't even recommend a person for Joe Biden's cabinet because Joe Biden doesn't want him to. He won't even recommend a name. He won't even ask for a $2,000 UBI. He starts with a compromised position, and everybody says how great he is. They're doing the same thing. We see they're all digging deeper. And where is Bernie Sanders on this right now? Why is he silent? He doesn't know that we have a chance to force a vote on Medicare for all? Of course he does. And he's a coward. As Kyle Kalinske, the founder of the Justice Democrats, said, Bernie Sanders is a cuck. He is. Get it through your fucking head. He ain't ever fighting for you. He's only going to take what Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer will allow him to have. He will never use his leverage. He will never use his movement. He will never cross power, ever. When it matters. And neither is she. And you better fucking pressure her now if you want to see something, or you can just kiss your country goodbye. Because this is it. Democrats out of power in 2 years. They lose the House. It's over. And then we get a worse Trump in 4 years because idiots elected fucking a walking demented death rattle. And a cop who's owned by Wall Street. The pressure is working. She is on the ropes, now playing defense. This is just some more bullshit excuses. Will she stand up and fight for us, or will she get knocked out? Stop playing games and do your job. No more Nancy, and bring Medicare for all to a vote now, says Maria Fonseca. Politicians are held accountable for their votes far into the future. Whether it was performative or not, it sticks for years and years. So no. They're telling, these are just regular people outing AOC left and fucking right. She's got 10 million sycophants, and she's still getting owned on fucking Twitter. 10 million followers she has. 10 million. And she can't force a Medicare for all vote? She is not fighting for you. She voted for the fucking Patriot Act. She voted for the CARES Act, the largest upward transfer of wealth in history, and blamed the Republicans and didn't cross her party, and she's doing it again. She's fucking gaslighting you into thinking you can't have a vote on Medicare for all, and she is doing it at the top of her lungs. And go on Twitter and fucking give it to her. And call her office. So what number excuse are we up to now? Is this the third version? Is this the fourth version? This would be the fourth version of her excuses. Yep. This is the fourth. The co-sponsor list can be used as toilet paper. Kamala Harris is the first one who co-sponsored Bernie's health care bill. Look at her now. Exactly, AOC. Do you honestly, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? People who are as fucking dumb as you? Because I'm dumb, but I'm not as dumb as you are. You obviously think I'm really dumb, and we're all really dumb to believe this shit. That's a dumb person who thinks you're dumber than them. You're going to vote for Pelosi, aren't you? Yes, she is. Yes, she is. You watch. AOC is going to vote for Pelosi. Yes, she is. I'm still failing to see how giving progressive primary challenges ammo for 2022 isn't a good idea. It is a good idea. There's no reason to not do this. AOC has no reason to not do this, except she doesn't want to cross Nancy Pelosi because she doesn't have courage. And she doesn't. When the fuck has she caused a ruckus? When? When has she caused a ruckus? Someone tell me. What has she ever fucking done? What? When has she put a hurt on Nancy Pelosi? When has she put a hurt on Chuck Schumer? When has she put a hurt on the Democratic Party? When did she cause a ruckus? When? Is it anybody saying in the chat when she caused a ruckus?
No, I don't see it.
When? So I super appreciate Brianna Joy Gray coming to the aid of this movement. The only way we're going to get them to do this is through pressure. Being nice and telling them you like them is the opposite of how you get this done. That's the opposite. Being nice never moved anything. Power concedes nothing without a demand, and you got to fucking demand this and say, I don't care if you're nice. We're going to fucking haunt you. And we are not letting you off the hook. And we'll primary your ass if you don't fucking do this. What's the point? We could have Joe Crowley not do Medicare for all, or we could have you not do Medicare for all. We could have Joe Crowley vote with Nancy Pelosi, or we could have you vote with Nancy Pelosi. Stop playing games. We're in the middle of a pandemic. If you don't fight for single-payer health care now, when are you going to fight for it? When? Later, after the pandemic's over. You know, there's that story. You ever heard that story? The two guys sitting in a living room and there's a leak in the roof. It's raining outside and the leak's just coming through. And the guy says, hey, why don't you go up on the roof and fix that? The guy goes, I'm not going to go up there now. There's a storm. So then the storm goes away and it's sunny. And the guy goes, hey, you're going to go fix the roof? He goes, why fix it now? There's no problem. That's what AOC is doing. Mm-hmm. I'm very disappointed. This is what happens. You get rich and too cozy with the establishment. Oh, yeah. You know, AOC has a page up at a professional speaking organization where her fee for speaking is $75,000 to $150,000 per speech. That's her fee. Of course, it's negotiable, they always say. I don't think you understand how desperate and different things are now. We don't have years to wait around anymore. That's right. That's why we voted you in, because you said we don't have to wait 100 years. We can have Medicare for all now. That's what she said when she ran. That's what AOC said. And if we don't do it now, you ain't going to get another chance to do it. The earliest, 2025. The earliest you're going to be able to give people health care is 2025. And then you're not, because it's going to be another Republican president. Joe Biden's not going to win re-election. And neither is Kamala Harris. So then you put another 4 years. So it's going to be till 2030 before we get another chance to do this. This is it. For a decade. This is it. And AOC is going to go down gaslighting you all the fucking way. She's not doing it. She's not doing it. They are not doing it. And you got to make them shit their pants. Being nice is not getting this done. Writing articles is not. It helps. A hell of a lot. Tweeting helps. Calling helps. Being nice does not help. Calling a spade helps. Saying AOC, Rashid Tlaib, Ro Khanna, Ayanna Pressley are not fighting for you, which because they're not, is what we should be doing. They're the most, as Ro Khanna came on the show and said, it doesn't bother. People can criticize me. I'm one of the most powerful people in the world. If I can't take criticism, I shouldn't be in this job. Ro Khanna said that on my show, and he's fucking right. And he's the only one who had the balls to stand up to Nancy Pelosi and tell her to pass the goddamn stimulus that Trump was offering. She was the only one. Why wasn't everybody in the Progressive Caucus doing that? Because they're all nutless fucking wonders, exactly what right-wingers say about them. They've got no fucking balls. None. Their biggest think tank guy was on here worried that Kevin McCarthy was going to become speaker. That's not a chance of that happening. There's not a chance of that happening. There's not a chance of that happening. David Sirota came on this show and he argued with me at the top of his lungs that Kevin McCarthy would be worse than Nancy Pelosi, and that's a bad thing. There's not a chance of that happening. There's not a chance of the Republicans getting a speaker. There's not a chance. So don't listen to people who are trying to find every fucking way not to do this. The time is now. And if we don't do it now, you're not going to get another chance for fucking 10 years. We don't have enough votes yet. Maybe later. You know, that's what Martin Luther King said from the Birmingham jail. Isn't that what he said? Yeah, we don't have the votes yet, folks, so wait for your civil rights. Rosa Parks, stay in the back of the bus till we get the votes. All you people in Selma, don't do a march until we get the votes. Hey, that march on Washington, you know what that was? That's called performative. The march on Washington, that was performative. They didn't wait for the votes. They went and forced it. Pay attention. The official gatekeepers haven't approved the strategy that you unwashed, ignorant peasants are proposing. You're just going to have to keep waiting. Very Pelosi of you to blame us for your failures. Huh. She's saying now you've made it actually harder for organizers. She's blaming us for their failures. She's saying we're going to make it harder for them. Oh, we're going to make it harder for you, AOC. We're going to make it harder for you. This is straight up lie from AOC. Yes, she's straight up lying. And the time to be nice is way fucking over. The time to be nice to anybody in politics ended at the CARES Act. And so this idea that I have to like somebody who's a politician, even though they just sold me out, is bullshit. They're not your friends. They're not nice people. They're not nice people. They're not your friends. They're hired servants. They're public servants. And they're supposed to do what the fuck we want, and they ain't. And all the bullshitting gaslighting ain't going to change the fact that they're not doing what the fuck we want. 9 out of 10 Democrats want this, and they're finding every reason not to do it. Fuck them and fuck you for if you fucking support them. If you protect them, we know who you are. You probably get paid by NATO to go interview war criminals, don't you? You probably took $20 million from fucking Jeffrey Katzenberg to go gaslight people that Medicare for All is a bad idea right now. Hey, Medicare for All organizer here. I think we should force a vote or pretty much do whatever else we can think of. We don't have a lot going on. So that's our Medicare for All. That's a real Medicare for All organizer. Hot take appreciator.
Ha.
I don't know. How can you tell which is real and which isn't? Is it not enough to be an American citizen and advocate for a fucking policy that every other country has? That is the bare minimum a fucking state is supposed to provide its people. You have to be a specialist to be able to advocate for that, AOC? That's what she's saying. No vote for Nancy Pelosi until she brings Medicare for All for a vote. And any fucking Democrat who votes for her is dead to me. And should be dead to you. That's it. What the fuck are you voting for? They voted for the Patriot Act. They voted for the largest upward transfer of wealth in history. They have done fucking nothing for you. And people who want to be nice to them, it's because they're going to bump into them at parties. I'm not. I'm not going to bump into them at parties. And if I do, they're going to be afraid of me. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.